So hello everybody, good morning and welcome back to the EduphoreIAS, the Hindu analysis. And today, as you know, the date is 30th of June, the last day of June. So we are starting with, as usual, the front page, the first page of the Hindu. Fine, and we'll quickly see that what is important, what different sets of news are important from this page, so that we can focus on those sets of news on the further pages. Fine. So let us quickly have a look at the this front page. So Tamil Nadu governor dismisses ministers, backtracks later. Okay. So this is what going on. I mean, you can say a kind of politics where or even constitutional kind of crisis as well, because what happened, this is a minister called Senthi Balaji, fine, who was charged with the corruption related cases and all, and therefore but still he continued to be the part of the cabinet of Tamil Nadu government, fine. But yesterday news came that governor has sacked this very minister, but later on it was, you can see that the governors communicates to CM office that his order has been put on hold with immediate effect, fine. So this is what going on there. Okay. Now panchayats to be UPI enabled from August 15. This is a positive thing. All the panchayats in India would be UPI enabled. All of us use UPI, Google Pay and all, Phone Pay. Okay. So from 15th of August this year, all of the panchayats in India would be made UPI friendly, fine, or UPI enabled. Okay. So what is important from today's, this front page is this news: as humans exit, wildlife has the run of Debrigarh. This is a Debrigarh, remember, not Dibrugarh. Fine, Dibrugarh in Assam, Debrigarh is in Odisha. This is Debri, remember, not Debru. Okay, so Debrigarh, you can see a wildlife sanctuary in Bargarh district of Odisha has been made completely free of any human settlement following one of the country's largest peaceful relocation of forest dwellers. So this has been a, you can term it as a very positive, response from the this local community residing in this around this wildlife sanctuary, because this relocation of forest dwellers has been quite peaceful and it is not the forceful one, fine. So keep in mind this thing. We can quote somewhere, especially where we need to write something about man and wildlife conflict, let us say, or something which is any project, let us say, going on related to the relocation of any tribal group or the people or residing around this kind of wildlife sanctuaries, fine, or reserves, you can say. So what is the how many families involved? So as many as 400 families. As many as 400 families have moved out of their villages after a series of consultations, fine, in a state where permanent human settlements are common even within the wildlife sanctuaries. Debrigarh now stands out as an exception alongside Nalabana Bird Sanctuary in Chilika Lake. So remember, for prelims, two information is important from here: Nalabana Bird Sanctuary and Debrigarh Wildlife Sanctuary, both are in Odisha, fine. And Nalabana, of course, is in this Chilika Lake. Chilika Lake again important from Odisha. The positive impact of this relocation was immediately evident in the tangible drop in incidence of man-wildlife conflict in Debrigarh. See, so this is the positive impact that we have seen. Okay. The relocation of villagers assumed significance as inhabitants did not have access to basic facilities such as electricity, health and education. It was also mandated to make critical wildlife sanctuaries inviolable, fine. So this has been mandated under Wildlife Protection Act itself. This is a win-win situation for both, and remember, no force was used for relocating villagers from the sanctuary, fine. So you can say a very positive response, a very positive step that has been taken by the this divisional forest department or of let us say this Debrigarh unit, fine. So you can quote anywhere wherever you get question related to related to man and wildlife conflict, or relocation projects going on in the country, in the zone of, let us say, wildlife sanctuaries or this forest reserves. Okay. So these are these are the local pages related to the Delhi news. So we can easily skip these pages. Though if you are from Delhi, if you are residing in Delhi, as a as an aware citizen, we should be aware of what's going on around us. So you can have a quick look there. But I'm skipping these pages, and this page is all about politics. Of course, not important. I say always that polity is important for us and not the politics per se. Fine. Okay. This is okay. Okay. Okay, so finally we have landed on the editorial page, and from editorial we will be focusing on the most important article here, and that is a smaller one but effective one, and that is spiraling of food prices. The top prices, especially the tomato prices, again shooting up, fine, and has been increased almost doubled, fine, which what exactly it used to be a month before. So we'll see that why such things are happening year after year. So India, see, policymakers must guard against inflation to ensure sustainable growth. To ensure sustainable growth, for that we, our policymakers needs to guard the common citizens from rising or persistent inflation. Indian households find themselves yet again struggling to cope with a sharp surge in prices of essential kitchen staples, ranging from top, that is tomato, onion and potato, fine, to tur dal and rice. Tomato prices have more than doubled month on month, with the all India average retail prices on June 29 soaring to 53.59 kilogram from 224.37. So more than double, from 24 rupees per kilogram to 53 rupees, 53.5 rupees per kilogram. Fine. Okay. Okay. So while the rise in onion and potato prices over the same 1 month period, that is from May 29 to June 29, is seemingly far more benign, 7.5 to and arose in the range of 7.5% and 4.5% respectively. We are talking about the prices of onion and potato, increase in price of these two out of top, but tomato surged more than doubled from 24 per kg to 53.5 per kg, fine, respectively. The overall trajectory in prices gains across the wider food basket is symptomatic of the unsettling buildup of underlying inflation pressures in the economy. So all these rise in prices is symptomatic, that is symptom of unsettling inflation pressure in the economy. Of course, inflation is there. For instance, the price of tur dal, a key protein source in the diets of vegetarian households, continues to keep rising. It had climbed 7.8% month on month to 130.75 a kilogram on June 29. So this is consistently rising. As per the government data itself, official retail inflation data from May released earlier this month had shown that prices of pulses, which includes tur dal, had quickened by 128 basis points year on year to 31-month high of 6.56%. So in terms of pulses inflation की हम बात करें, so we have registered around 31-month high of, especially the tur dal की बात करें तो 128 basis point की rise देखने को मिली है, means more than 100 this 1% to 6.56%. The government imposition of a stock limit on urad and tur on June 2 seems to have so far done little to cool price gains in the lentils. So of course, time and again the government comes, intervenes in the market during such kind of price rise, and the stock limit even imposed by the government. Fine. So in order to cool down the rise in prices, but this effect of this step of government which was taken on June 2 doesn't seems to be that effective till yet. Fine. To be sure, there is a seasonality component. Of course, there is a seasonality component involved always in such kind of seasonal rise in prices. Fine. Even including the tomato prices. To the prices of farm produce, and their supply is largely determined by factors including timing of the harvest and the prices prevailing at the mandis when the farmers transport their crop to the markets. Yes, so timing of the harvest and the price prevailing in the mandis, there are two factors which to a greater extent determines the price of a particular produce. Just last month, tomato growers in rural Maharashtra had dumped sizable quantities of their produce on the roads after being offered unremunerative prices. Fine. So at times you see the tomatoes are being purchased from farmers at rupees 2 per kg or 1 per kg or even 5 per kg, and today it is being the selling price at the retail market is 53.59 rupees per kilogram. So you see the difference. However, prices of several of these food items including tomatoes are still substantially higher than even the same time last year, with the model daily weighted average arrival prices at the mandis as per the government's egg market website revealing tomato prices almost tripled year on year to 5579 a quintal, means 55.79 per kg. Quintal means 100 kg. So 55.79 per kg. This is a egg market website of the government, official website. Data of the government says that per quintal prices of tomato on June 29 was 55.79. This means per kg the price was almost around 60. You can say exact is 55.79, but of course at retail level you might get it as even 60 per kg as well. The same arrival price data show, this arrival price is basically that how much of the produce is coming to the market on that particular date. So that's why it's a arrival price. Data show 35% jump in tur dal and 90% increase in common paddy rice, that is rice. So a sizable jump again has been noticed in you can say the tur dal prices by 35%, and even in paddy, that is common paddy, that is rice, even 19%. With the monsoon rains 13% in deficit so far this year, and the outlook for special and temporal distribution in the coming months clouded with the uncertainty by El Nino. Yes, so this year has been forecasted to be or predicted to be an El Nino year. El Nino, I hope all of you are aware, or if not, let me tell you that El Nino is basically a geographical phenomena, oceanic phenomena per se, fine, where we see that basically this influences Indian monsoon in a negative way, because it brings more of drought like season, seasons in India compared to flood like situation which results from La Nina, that is opposite of El Nino. Fine. So La Nina had been there from the last 3-4 years, which has finally going to be replaced this year by El Nino. Fine. So remember this much, that this El Nino negatively impacts the Indian monsoon. Fine. And therefore definitely impact crops as well, and ultimately the prices as well. So there is a real risk that food prices could cause retail inflation to accelerate again because of even El Nino effect as well. Policymakers need to walk the talk and retain laser focus on taming inflation. So laser focus should be on taming the inflation, controlling the inflation. After all, as the Reserve Bank of India's economist noted in the last bulletin, the path to high but sustainable inclusive growth has to be paved by price stability. So time and again, as we discussed, I say that there are two major objectives of any central bank or monetary policy, that is GDP growth, higher growth, alongside that the price stability. Fine. So here even you see that this SBI bank's economist has said that high and inclusive growth can be built up on the foundation of price stability, or at the core of this high growth and inclusive growth should lie the price stability. Fine. Means inflation should be under or in the range of what, in the range of course you can say, or somewhere around 4% precisely. Fine. So this is though small but an impactful, important one, important article. Rest two are not that important, so I'm skipping. So has the Bhadralok culture in Bengal faded? Now what exactly is the Bhadralok culture in Bengal faded? This is a question, and today again there are two people, Surjit Chandra Mukhopadhyay ji and Sandeep Roy, both of them would be discussing, would be keeping up their point of view, that what exactly, so what exactly is this Bhadralok culture in West Bengal, and whether it has faded or not. Let us start with what Mr. Mukhopadhyay is saying and what he thinks about this. So what exactly is the Bhadralok culture in West Bengal and has it faded? So Mukhopadhyay is saying, historically it was composed of three castes: Brahmins, Vaidyas and Kayasthas. It evolved through colonial intervention in the sense that the caste could transform into a status group. So people from other castes could theoretically speaking gain Bhadralok status if they had certain kinds of attributes. Now if you take it literally, Bhadralok just means being gentle, manly. Fine. So Bhadra कहते हैं कि आपका स्वभाव जो है भद्र नहीं होना चाहिए, Bhadralok. So here he is saying कि just means being gentle, manly. The opposite of this is Chotolok. Bhadralok and Chotolok. Fine. So Bhadralok is being gentleman or being gentlemanly, and the opposite of this is Chotalok, which if you look at the caste combination of the Chotolok, there are Shudras and Namashudras. Shudra and Vaishyas you can say, and the so-called outcasts. So under Chotolok comes the Shudras, Vaishyas and so-called the outcasts. But Bhadralok comprises mainly of three castes, that is Brahmins, Vaidyas and Kayasthas. On an everyday basis, when we say you are not behaving like a Bhadralok, it means you are not conforming to certain normative ideals, and these ideals are applicable both in the public as well as in the private sphere. So if somebody is saying you that you are not behaving like a Bhadralok, it means you are not conforming to the normative ideals or the norms of the let us say applicable at both the level, at your individual level alongside at the societal level. Now what is this Sandeep Roy is saying? He is saying that Bhadralok is about caste, but though Bhadralok is about caste but not limited to caste. You can have people from upper caste who are not Bhadralok, and other people can aspire to become more Bhadralok. ठीक बात है. It is a very Bengali and you could say elitist construct. So he is labeling it as a elitist construct. We don't often think that when we are calling ourselves Bhadralok that we are by default calling people who are not part of our class and do not have a similar educational background as Chotolok. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. If I am saying that I belong to Bhadralok means somewhere I might be in the hindsight treating other people as Chotolok, not belonging to my lok, or you can say the Bhadralok. So of course this is how we can we could have racial kind of discrimination or caste based discrimination, caste and class based discrimination. The writer Manoranjan Vyapari used to always complain that he was never read because he was Chotolok, which you could translate as subaltern. He would say, they see me with a gamcha around my neck and wonder how can someone like me write books. It is a colonial construct because Bhadra, Bengali for gentle, remember. So Bhadralok means gentle manly, because Bhadra means in Bengali we call it gentle. Fine. Is about manners, and it was the Babu, elitist Bengalis who had proper manners and could engage with the colonial masters. Of course, if you see historically, when Britishers first of all came to India, they made the headquarters, though in Masulipatam they started with, but ultimately the power, before capital transferred to Delhi, the seat, or the capital you can say of course was what? Calcutta. Fine. Okay. Kolkata. Bengal mainly. Fine. So now with the way politics has evolved in this, so so since that time you see the elitist Bengali people were working with the Britishers of course, and mostly you see that so they have been referred as here as a elitist class, fine. All others actually count for much more electorally than the Bhadralok in Kolkata. 30 years ago, most Bhadralok in Kolkata would have no idea that there are groups like Koch, Rajbangshi and Matuas who politicians are catering to. Even though they, that is Bhadralok culturally, still maintain a kind of monopoly in real terms, they don't count electorally now. Their relevance has obviously changed, and it's worth noticing that when Chief Minister first came onto the scene, one thing held against her by some was that she was not Bhadralok or Bhadra Mahila, feminine form of Bhadralok, of course, enough compared to her predecessors, Buddhadev Bhattacharya, the former CM of this. Okay, so what triggered the slide of the Bhadralok? There is a perceived slide in the quality of cinema and books being produced in Bengal. Okay, so what resulted and what led to the slide of this Bhadralok, that is gentle manliness? I think the demographic, Mukhopadhyay is saying that I think the demographics have overtaken the Bhadralok. Joy Chatterjee, an important historian of our times, has very definitive work on the Bhadralok and says that their era is over. If you look at Bengali societal power today, maybe the Bhadraloks still have some political power, but they have never enjoyed economic power. So this is what? That Brahmins, Kayasthas and Vaidyas, these three castes primarily composed of Bhadralok. Mukhopadhyay is saying that though they still have little bit of political power, but they have never enjoyed economic power, fine. We have also moved from the elite concept of what democracy is to the rough and tumble of democracy. The subaltern and others who relate to the subaltern have found their place, and rightly so. Subaltern, of course, here subaltern means choto log, basically those who belong to this group, and we have become a market society. Okay, so we have become a market society, yes, where everything is transactional, and therefore people with much more money power obviously overwhelm the Bengali. ठीक बात है, money buys out everything, but not the most important things needed for, you can say, a good life. Okay, so Bhadralok, because the Bengali Bhadralok never had money to begin with, they had cultural capital. When we talk about films, for example, we talk about Satyajit Ray, whose films have a distinct Bhadralok imagery. So of course Satyajit Ray की movies की जब हम बात करते हैं, so it portrays a different kind of Bhadralok imagery, fine. Now so Sandeep Roy is saying the Bhadralok were supposed to have turned up their noses at money, and there was always the accusation that the Bhadralok came from a class of people who had been trained by the British to become managers and were better at executing things than in making money. So I think a lot of people thought of someone like former President Pranab Mukherjee as the quintessential Bhadralok, who had a long and illustrious career in politics and managed to have the ear of many different dispensations, of course. So many of the Bengalis treated former President Pranab Mukherjee as belonging to the Bhadralok, that is from Brahmin caste. That's it. Now in terms of the cultural slide that you speak of, there is still enormous nostalgia and romanticization of, say, Satyajit Roy and maybe Rituparna Ghosh. People keep looking for another Satyajit Ray type person, even though it's up for debate as to whether that someone with Ray-like sensibilities would even be popular, because society has moved on. Of course, so after decades and centuries or even years down the line, you see the society has been grown up or moved away from or shifted from the one set of culture towards the other culture. Fine, this is what they are referring to. This is evident from the fact that during the last assembly election campaign in 2021, the communists who had sneered at Miss Banerjee's lack of Bhadralok skills and her Epang, Japang type poems, selected this very raunchy song called Trumpa Sona as their anthem. Tumpa Sona. Fine. So of course they are, let us not go into that politics of, Banerjee versus communist, this ideology. So of course communists basically refer to Miss Banerjee as, the honorable CM of, current CM of Bengal as not belonging to the Bhadralok, that is not belong to either of the three castes. Does Bengal still have some cultural capital? Okay, this is important. Historically Bengal has been very significant, so does Bengal still have some cultural capital, or is it a thing of the past and merely exists as an aspirational idea? Okay, so whether we want to, Mukhopadhyay is saying that whether we want to do away with it, that is the image of Bhadralok society, or not, doesn't depend on us. The cultural capital that the Bhadralok has stretched on for the last century or so, they had hegemony, but hegemony without power, because today hegemony is dominance basically, without power, because today the epicenter of power is the economy and the people who are becoming entrepreneurs. So he is saying that the epicenter of power today lies in the economy and exactly in the hands of the people who are entrepreneurs. I think the goalposts have changed. You see a decline of one kind of social hegemony, and I am quite sure that it will be replaced by another kind of social hegemony. Fine. Okay. So basically his comment is related to the societal level, that one set of hegemony would be replaced by the other set. So now what Sandeep Roy is saying, that kind of cultural power that has lasted for such a long period is never going to vanish overnight. For other people too, the cultural power that the Bhadralok had remains aspirational. I think that power has definitely diminished in real terms, but the hold that it has over people's mind is still very much there. So though the power has been diminished, but the hold that it has over people's mind is still very much there. This is what he is, saying. Now, Mukhopadhyay is saying, I agree, Miss Banerjee too would like to be seen as someone having that social capital. So she says, look, I have written so many books. Okay. That Miss Banerjee even wants to be associated with or to be labeled as belonging to someone from the Bhadralok. So what is at the core of this identity politics? Let us not go into that. Do you see the Bhadralok evolving in any way in the near future? Okay. Okay, so we'll see the last paragraph. The question is, do you see the Bhadralok evolving in any way in the near future? Identity is very important, as the BJP learned in the last election. Okay, again, let us skip the politics thing here. Okay. Let us go on the last paragraph. We think that Bhadralok as a fossil, so they are terming Bhadralok as a fossil. It does not necessarily have to be so, because they were the agents of enormous change that happened in the Bengal. It's funny because in some ways, when you look at the 19th and 20th century, the enormous change that came about here was because of the Bhadralok, and now because of the way times have changed. The Bhadralok is often seen as the conservative person who is clinging on to the past and refusing to change or accept the future. Okay, future changes. So they are saying that of course we think the Bhadralok as a fossil. Fine, it does not necessarily have to be so, but of course focus is on 19th, 20th century Bengal, because there, historically, I hope you guys are aware that many of the Bengali, from newspapers, publications, magazines to associations, including the Rajaram Mohan Roy, the Brahmo Samaj, and lots of, this is just one example, but there are lots of organizations which played immense role in somewhere in gaining our independence, fine, directly or indirectly. So of course that kind of culture, Bhadralok culture here is has been discussed in the entire this article. I think good for as far as information is concerned, but lesser chances that it might be asked in the exam, because it has political angle too. But anyhow, we should keep in mind what exactly is the Bhadralok culture. Now what is more important from this paper, this page, is the open market sale scheme for wheat and rice. Okay. open market sale. OMSS was there in news that government of India has put restriction over it. OMSS, that is open market sale of a sale scheme for wheat and rice. Let us quickly see what exactly is this. So what the story so far? This is government of India put this or stopped open market this scheme for the time being. So first let us quickly have this background idea. So states have been looking at alternative ways. So many of the states are looking, especially the opposition ruled states, ways of procuring wheat and rice in the after the FCI, that is Food Corporation of India's imposed quantity restriction, followed by the refusal to allow states to procure two food grains through its OMSs, that is open market sale scheme. The center has made it clear that the reasons for restricting supplies per bidder and eventually excluding states from procuring through auctions was to curb inflation and regular supply. So this was the stated objective as far as central government is concerned. States such as Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have criticized the government for engaging in politics at the expense of marginalized beneficiaries of state welfare schemes. But opposition, of course, will labeling it as a kind of politics. So what exactly is the open market sale scheme? Under this open market sale scheme, the FCI from time to time sells surplus food grains from the central pool, especially this central pool, especially wheat and rice, in the open market to traders, bulk consumers, retail chains, and so on at a predetermined prices. So basically, in open market, FCI sells its surplus. You know that FCI has a surplus of stocks, especially of wheat and rice. So in order to offload its surplus food grains, it basically sells these two products in the open market. The FCI does this through e-auctions, where open market bidders can buy specified quantities. So this takes place through auctions, e-auctions, basically electronic auctions. States are also allowed to procure food grains through the OMSs without participating in the auctions for their needs beyond what they get from the central pool to distribute to NFSA 2013, this National Food Security Act. Basically, beneficiaries, of course, they get from the central pool because FCI procures the food grains at MSP, and then that is being disbursed to the states for taking care of the or running this NFSA, that is National Food Security Act. Beneficiary. This year's OMSS was operationalized by the FCI in January. According to the latest press release of the Food Ministry, 6 weekly e-auctions of wheat had been conducted by FCI till March 15, 2023. So you can see that this year this open market this scheme of it should be OMSS, not OMMs, OMSS. So this year's OMSS was operationalized by the FCI in January, and it went on up till March 15, 2023. So the total quantity of 33.7 lakh metric tons wheat was offloaded, and the prices of wheat came down by 19%. I hope if you can recall, 6 months back before this January, even the wheat prices were increasing fine, and even per kg you might have noticed around the difference of 5 to 7 rupees fine wheat, this of course floor prices, due to this massive intervention in a span of 45 days. So within this e-auctioning through or OMSS operation by FCI in open market, within 45 days from January to mid of March 2023, brought down prices of wheat by almost 19%, fine. So this is how basically this step, this policy mechanism is used to stabilize the prices. The next e-auction for wheat under OMSS will start on June 28, and the bidding for rice will commence on July 5. Of course, June 28 passed, July upcoming. So how has the center revised OMSS? The center decided to restrict the quantity that a single bidder can purchase in a single bid under the OMSS. So let us say earlier it used to, a single bidder used to get the 100 kgs of, let us say, wheat. Now it government has restricted this, put a restriction over the quantity actually amount of and can purchase in a single bid under, of course that has been purchased under this bid. While the maximum quantity allowed earlier was 3000 metric tons MT per bid, for buyer it will now range from 10 to 100 metric tons. You see, in order to control the prices, do not allow them to hoard and artificially raise the prices. The FCI claims that the quantities have been reduced this time to accommodate more small and marginal buyers and to ensure wider reach of the scheme. Okay. So, what exactly FCI is claiming? FCI is claiming that this quantity from 3000 metric tons to only in the range of 10 to 100 metric tons has been reduced to this level in order to accommodate more small and marginal buyers to ensure wider reach of the scheme and not to get restricted in the hands of few big buyers. The objective behind the move is also to curb retail prices, as allowing a smaller bids should ideally break monopolies of bulk buyers, allowing more competitive bids by small buyers of course. First, the center had decided earlier this month to reduce the quantity a particular bidder can purchase. Under this, you have seen that from 3000 metric tons now can purchase at the max 10 to 100 metric tons only. So, from 1000 now it has been reduced into hundreds, and that too not more than 100 fine metric tons. So, this was the first step, that is a reduction in the quantities that can be bought through OMSs. But on June 13, in a notification sent to the states, it stopped the sale of rice and wheat from the central pool under the OMSs to state governments, also disallowing private bidders to sell their OMSs supplies to state governments. So, on June 13th notification, the central government has altogether stopped this sale of rice and wheat from its central pool. Central pool is basically managed by FCI itself. So, the chairman and managing director of the FCI, Ashok K.K. Meena, said the center was already meeting its obligation to distribute gains to 80 crore marginalized beneficiaries under the NFSA, and also had an obligation to the 60 crore common consumers who are affected by the retail prices. Fine. So, this much number to taken care by the FCI, 18 plus 60. Okay. How have states reacted? In Karnataka, the Anna Bhagya scheme to give rise to marginalized Tamils was family was part of the Congress government poll promise. Okay, so the leader of the Congress accused center of conspiring to fail the state government's poll guaranteed by ensuring the state did not receive the required amount of rice. Okay, so of course more or less, you know, good economics is bad politics, good politics is bad economics. Okay. So, Tamil Nadu is trying to repurchase 50,000 tons of rice from government agencies other than FCI. Okay. To manage supplies, Tamil Nadu says we are buying from OMSs at a rate of about 35 for a kilo of rice and then subsidizing it. Now, the Union government has stopped the supply under OMSs, so we have to find an alternative now. This is what said by a senior government functionary of Tamil Nadu. Fine. So, this was all about OMSs, open market sale of wheat and rice scheme. Fine. By the FCI. Okay. Let us move to the next pages. What else important here? Okay, violence in Bengal. Okay. India and Philippines to explore a scope of joint sales patrols to boost defense partnership. Defense, basically the foreign exchange minister of this Philippines visited India, was on the state this visit to India, official visit, fine, from June 27th to 30th, means even today. You know, he will be on he is on 4 or 5 day visit, of course 4 days official visit to India. Okay. So, a joint statement being released, and what exactly happened? Okay. So, a joint statement issued after the 5th meeting of the Joint Commission on Bilateral Cooperation said that both ministers, that is our honorable foreign external minister alongside his counterpart from Philippines, expressed keen interest to continue to work together on defense cooperation, including through the regular or upgraded official level interactions among defense agencies. So, of course, Philippines has shown interest in procuring our BrahMos missiles, fine, and even cyber security as well. Sources said that both the ministers also discussed domains including cyber security, artificial intelligence and space cooperation as well, fine. A new issue that was discussed was cyber trafficking as well. On defense cooperation, the key dialogue was not only in terms of weapons but cooperation through training courses, greater military exchanges and in future joint exercises as well. Because you see, when Philippines to a certain extent being, is not in good terms with China, especially in the eastern China Sea, fine areas. So that's the issue, eastern, southern China, South China Sea as well, fine. So that's the issue, that's why. Okay, India's largest radio telescope plays vital role in detecting universe vibrations. So where exactly this India's largest radio telescope being, where exactly is this location? So India's largest telescope, the upgraded giant microwave radio telescope near Narayangaon in Pune district. So it is in Pune. India's giant microwave radio telescope was among the world's 6 large telescopes that played a vital role in providing evidence confirming the presence of gravitational waves using pulsar observations, fine. Okay. So you see, an international team of astronomers from India, Japan and Europe has published the results from monitoring pulsars called nature's best clocks. So pulsars being referred as nature's best clocks by using 6 of the world's most sensitive radio telescopes, including India's UGMRT as well, based in Pune. So keep in mind this much of the information, fine. Might be important from the preliminary exam point of view, fine. Okay. Okay, so here was a term like pulsar. So what exactly is a pulsar? This has been defined in the further paragraphs as well. So pulsars are a type of rapidly rotating neutron stars that are essentially embers of dead stars which are present in our galaxy. A pulsar is like a cosmic lighthouse as it emits radio beams that flashes by the Earth regularly, akin to harbor lighthouse, fine. So pulsar is more or less like a lighthouse, fine. Important especially from the exam point of view, especially prelims exam. Okay, and you know the name of our galaxy that is Milky Way, fine. So this much of the information is relevant from this page, fine. Finally moving to the next pages. So again more or less this seems to be okay, violence and politics, okay, politics only, okay. Okay, so let us again more or less politics, states. Okay, so this was the news that we actually discussed on the very front page. From August 15, only digital payments in panchayats. Okay. So the government has asked panchayats to choose the vendors by July 15 and finalize it by July 30 in order to implement the digital payments in panchayats by August 15. So all panchayats across the country will mandatorily use digital payments for development work and revenue collections from this Independence Day, and they will be declared UPI enabled, a letter issued by the Union Panchayat Raj Ministry said, fine. So this is how the things would be implemented. Further, the state should announce and inaugurate the UPI complaint compliant panchayats in the presence of dignitaries such as chief ministers, MPs and MLAs, the union ministry said. Sunil Kumar, Secretary Panchayat Raj Ministry, said almost 98% of the panchayats had already started UPI based payment. So you can see that is not going to be the tough, hard to implement, because already 98% of the panchayats in the country has already implemented this UPI based payments. Fine. So payments worth 1.5 lakh crore have been made through the public financial management system. Payments to panchayats will now be made digitally. PMFS basically used by the central government for routing this or making the payments online. Fine. Okay. So UPI platforms, all of us use that. So UPI, a list with details of contact persons from UPI platforms, GPay, Google Pay, PhonePe, Paytm, Bhim, MobiKwik, WhatsApp Pay, Amazon Pay and Bharat Pay has been shared by the ministry with the respective panchayats as well. Okay, respective state and panchayats. So it's a good step. There won't be much difficulty in implementing the same, because 98% of the panchayats in the country has already shifted to this platform, making digital payments. Okay. Unrest spreads in France over police shooting of teen, US top court rules. Okay, so these are the this international news. Sri Lanka central bank moots recast of pension funds, haircut on bonds. Okay. So this is how the IMF is, this Sri Lanka is trying to set its house in order, especially post BOP crisis. Fine. Okay. Okay. Finally, we have landed on the sports pages. So whatever was important from the today's The Hindu, that is 30th of June, we have discussed that. If you face any issue, anything, you can put the same in the comment section. Fine. Thank you for being with us. And stay, of course, tomorrow we'll be having the same, this Hindu analysis class as well. So, until then, kindly focus on the things we have discussed, keep revising and take care. Fine. Thank you. Stay tuned for tomorrow's analysis.